And then we came into this like scientific era where we went too much to one side. Like science is great, but you can overdo anything, right? So the pendulum went too
Went
much to
too
science.
materialist.
Too material, right? Too materialistic. It was almost as if you were going to
It was
if you
trying too hard to define things in a really rigid
yes,
way.
and it's almost as if if you're going to believe in science, then you cannot believe in anything that can't be proven by science. That's what it seems like to me, anyway.
Consciously or unconsciously, many of us practice feeling unhappy, angry, or fearful each day. So why not practice creating and maintaining joyful, loving, altruistic states instead? Wouldn't that eventually create a new internal order, resulting in overall health and happiness? And I just like the way he put that. I liked the reminder of we can practice how we feel. We can practice entering certain states. We don't have to naturally find ourselves in them. And also the idea of seeing how you feel on a daily basis as your practice. Like either no matter what you're doing, you are practicing a certain emotional state. So why not consciously choose which one you're looking to practice?
Yeah, I actually have that. I have that underlined also.
Welcome to Sunflower Philosophy Podcast. My name is Juliana, and this is my co-host,
DC.
And we are board certified hypnotists. And on this podcast, we talk about everything from personal growth to spirituality, etc. And today we are discussing chapters 6 and 7 of Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So this is a continuing series. If you want to follow along, we have talked about each of the chapters so far. And I guess without further ado, let's introduce the chapters and get into it.
Okay, yeah. And honestly, I have to tell you, I knew we were doing both chapters today, but I forgot about chapter 6 because I have nothing to say about it. Not because there was anything wrong with it. It's more, it's a chapter of case studies. It's called Case Studies, Living Examples of Truth. And I found it really interesting, the living examples of truth, to see how many of his clients and participants and whatever you call it, I guess the participants in his workshops, the successes that they had. I found it really interesting and I enjoyed it, but I don't really have anything to say about it.
More or less same. I found it really interesting and I liked hearing about these personal experiences that people had with the meditations and their various successes, and it's definitely good for also internalizing the material a bit more, I feel. Just having a good example of how these things can be practically applied, but I don't really have anything to add to the chapter.
Same.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything to add to it. But I think I have a fair amount to say about chapter 7.
So let's get into that, if you would like.
It is like chapter 7, like that provides you more of, practical information, things you can use, things that help move you along, you know?
Exactly. So we can get into that, and if you want to start.
Okay, I mean, I'll start. I just thought that the very beginning of the chapter, when he mentioned the French philosopher René Descartes, and how he said that, now these are Joe Dispenza's words, but he said that Descartes said that the mind and the body were two radically different substances. And it was around that time, according to Joe Dispenza in this book, that people started looking at the heart as more of just a pump, something that pumps blood, more mechanical, and not recognizing, as he says, its nature or humanity and connection to innate intelligence. I could probably see it's better if I put these on when I read it. But yeah, so I found that really interesting because, I mean, when we learned about the heart in biology, for example, it was just something that pumps the blood through the body. That's all we ever learned about it. So it is interesting that, people maybe, ancient people or whatever had a different relationship with it. And then we came into this like scientific era where we went too much to one side. Like science is great, but you can overdo anything, right? So the pendulum went too much to science.
Materialist.
Too material, right. Too materialistic. too scientific in the sense that it was almost as if you were going to
It was
if you
trying too hard to define things in a really rigid
yes,
way.
yes, yes. And it's almost as if, well, if you're going to believe in science, then you cannot believe in anything that can't be proven by science. That's what it seems like to me, anyway. So I just thought that was interesting,
Yeah.
because I'm like, yeah, that's what I learned. It's just
Yeah, we don't go
an organ
into
that pumps blood.
how it connects with how, like, I mean, there's even, like, scientifically speaking, more to it than just the organ that pumps blood, you know? The Like, he talks about some of the science of it in here and stuff too, and so it's like the limits of what we could understand at the time, even as our understanding is changing with science, also isn't fully, like, hasn't fully been updated, I feel, in
Hmm.
the broader, like, knowledge base of the world.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, I found that interesting as well.
Yes.
And that's the focus of this chapter is the heart, which I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
we
Oh, you know
said.
what? We did
It's
not.
called heart
Yeah,
intelligence.
heart intelligence.
Hmm. And now I have heard of, like, I've seen and heard of techniques similar to what I was anticipating the meditation to be at the end, and I was right about it. I've seen people talk about it. I've seen people or heard people talk about the Heart Math Institute and talk about heart coherence and talk about breathing through the heart, and that's
Hmm.
something that I even use in when I do my pick a card tarot readings over on Sunflower Philosophy Tarot. I'll do like a little centering exercise in the beginning, and not every time, but often I'll ask people to, like, drop into their heart space and breathe through it. And so and I got that idea from just seeing other people talk about that. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's no reason we can't just jump to the end of the chapter and we'll go back over other stuff. But yeah, I also um found that the meditation that he talks about at the end is something that I already do sometimes.
mhm.
The breathing through the heart. Um, it's interesting. So I don't know if anyone out there, you and I are designed very differently, but I don't know if anyone out there can relate to this. My mind is like very busy and it can be challenging to quiet it. Now, practice makes perfect. The more I do it, the better I get at it.
Mhm.
It's the same with hypnosis. The more frequently I get hypnotized, the better I get at hypnosis. So, what when I'm meditating and my mind kind of gets bored and it starts looking for things, and what I often do is switch up like my focus. I might start out breathing one way, then switch it to another method,
Mm.
then switch it to another, and that includes the heart.
Mhm.
Breathing in through the heart, like you just like imagine breathing in through the heart, breathing out through the heart, right?
Mm.
I have done that many
Interesting.
times, and so that's what I find myself doing with my busy mind, as a way to kind of satisfy the mind that just gets bored and wants to change focus is and it's not that it doesn't work for me because it's kind of like if all of a sudden I realize my mind is drifting to thoughts because it's just gotten it's for lack of a better word bored with what I'm doing, then it helps me to just switch the focus of my breathing. So I'm still focusing, say per se, on my breathing. I mean, I've done meditations of all sorts where I have different focuses or no focus or whatever, but I do find that helps me.
Mm. Interesting. You know, I
Just a practical tip or two.
yeah, I appreciate that because I feel like no matter if someone, like, has a similar, like, you talk about human design, you talk about your design and having a busy mind, but whether someone has a similar design or not, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that feeling and relate to getting bored when doing a breathing or meditation, and that could be a way to help someone get into it and get over that sort of hump of, like, I can't get past feeling like I'm bored sitting here doing the same thing for too
Yeah,
long.
or my mind just starts picking up on things and wandering. Now, this is a little bit off the topic, but boy, getting back into the meditation again, um, I just get the weirdest things that come
Mm.
into my head. People, they could be like well-known people, they could be people in my life, they could be people I haven't seen or thought about in 20 years. They come into my head. Weird things. And I wish I would have written some of them down. But one of, I don't know if I should even bother wasting time saying this, but one of them was Lena Horne. Do you even know who that is? You probably don't
I feel
because
like I've
you're,
heard the name maybe, but I don't.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm even like young in a sense to know who she is. But she was, I mostly think of her as a singer, but I think she was also an actress and a civil rights activist. I really know almost nothing about her, but her name just like came into my head. Like when nothing is not, I'm all quiet in there. It's just like kind of floaty. And so I don't know. If someone has any explanation as to why Lena Horne might have come to mind for me, just let me know because I have no
Interesting.
idea. I have no
Interesting.
idea. I have no connection that I know of
Hmm.
to singer, actress, and activist Lena Horne, the late Lena Horne.
Interesting.
So yeah. Anyway,
Hmm. Yeah, well, that's that. When you do start meditating or get quiet with yourself, sometimes weird things do happen, do come up. And actually, we didn't talk about any updates to our experiences with the meditations, but I don't think I have too much to report. I feel like I haven't been like as diligent with it, and I know you mentioned last time you were having some trouble with the.
yeah, was that the last episode that I
Yeah.
mentioned that? Yeah, that okay, yeah. I'm going to revisit that briefly because I think I was under the impression that we were supposed to start the meditation with that, tightening of the muscles, pushing up the energy and breathing in at the same time. And I found that very uncomfortable. For me, it actually felt, maybe I said this last time, I think, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it just felt very uncomfortable for me. But now I've just let that go, moved past that.
Mm-hmm.
I can move energy in other ways that work for me. But now, like at the end of this chapter, chapter 7, heart intelligence, I can totally get on board with that whole, just closing your eyes, relaxing, and breathing in through the heart and
Mm,
out through the heart.
yeah.
I will say, I you're also supposed to then once you get that going, elevate your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I had trouble elevating my emotions.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I think again, this is being recorded in February 2026, and in like the second half of it, and there's a lot of horrific stuff out there. I mean, a lot, and so many layers that it becomes it becomes frightening on the third dimensional level. And I think that even though I don't immerse myself in it, I think giving too much attention to
Mm,
that, too much for me, um, has really stood in my way of progress. And so what I did was when I couldn't elevate the emotions, I did realize, wait a minute, I am at a state of neutrality
mm-hmm.
right now. And neutrality is also an excellent way to get yourself into alignment.
Mm-hmm.
That is years ago how I started out with meditation, got
Mm-hmm.
myself to a state of neutrality, had no idea that that was going to be one of the experiences that would open things up for me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it for any purpose. But once I realized, okay, even though I can't elevate my emotions in this moment, it is still a value. This meditation is still a value to me because as I focus on breathing in and out through the heart, I am at a place of neutrality
Mm-hmm.
and not at a place of fear or negative emotions.
Mm-hmm. I I appreciate that insight because I was kind of feeling the same way, having trouble elevating the emotions and for some of similar reasons, maybe I was definitely dealing with some difficult energy recently, but I did find that it calmed me and it did get me like in a much more relaxed state and I felt
Yes,
that that in and of itself was important and valuable and that the elevated emotions can come at another time.
that's exactly the conclusion I came to, um, because it was still of value to
Mhm.
be at that place of, It was kind of like a peacefulness.
Mhm.
It was a neutrality. It was relaxation. It was calmness. And that is always healthy and valuable. So even if you don't find that you're getting to, a place of raising, elevating those emotions of joy and appreciation and gratefulness and all that kind of stuff. Um that's okay. It's still valuable. And I mean, from my personal experience, I recommend definitely giving this a try. And it's very simple.
Yeah, this is so far the simplest meditation that there is, and so perhaps the most approachable.
Yes, I think so. Maybe that's probably why I appreciate it
Mhm.
so much. Keep it
'Cause it's
simple.
one that you can just return to even when you're like, "Ah, I don't know if I can get into the whole, maybe you just don't feel like you're ready to get into a whole long meditation." You
Right.
can at least get started with that and then
Mhm.
see where you land. So, I did appreciate that, uh, and I found it interesting, when he was going into some of, like, the more scientific aspects of how this works and, like, what is it? Heart rate variability and stuff like that, and, things that are a little bit, um maybe more medical scientific than I'm used to hearing about, like, how the body works and how the heart works, so I did appreciate that. He does that a lot, but in this chapter, I feel like uh I feel like I grasped it a little bit more, like, I paid more attention to, like, the science of it and, like, the heart rate, the measuring, like, the variability of it, and how it's actually healthy to have a moderate level of variability in your heart rate, and, like, it's not just having a really steady rhythm all the time, like, and you can measure different emotions and know what someone's feeling based on what their heart is doing. I thought that was really interesting too.
It's funny because I actually found that not as interesting. So again,
Mhm.
it's everyone is different
Yeah.
and it's perfectly fine. I mean, not that I found it uninteresting, but it wasn't anything that really caught my attention
Mhm.
as much. So that's interesting.
Um, but yeah, and all of this continues to build on this idea of like practicing the present and future that you want now. And there's a quote here that I highlighted, the first one that I highlighted in the chapter, which I have on my phone today. I didn't write it down on my notebook, so we're just gonna read from there. That I liked how it summed this up. It says, consciously or unconsciously, many of us practice feeling unhappy, angry, or fearful each day. So why not practice creating and maintaining joyful, loving, altruistic states instead? Wouldn't that eventually create a new internal order, resulting in overall health and happiness? And I just like the way he put that. I liked putting this down, like just the reminder of we can practice how we feel. We can practice entering certain states. We don't have to naturally find ourselves in them. And also the idea of seeing how you feel on a daily basis as your practice. Like either no matter what you're doing, you are practicing a certain emotional state. So why not consciously choose which one you're looking to practice?
Yeah, I actually have that. I have that underlined also. The same thing. And I agree with that statement. I think it's simplified. I mean, listen, we can only talk from our own experience, right? So from my own experience, even though I underlined it and I think it's great, it feels simplified because we are conditioned to now, and everyone's different, so it will vary for everyone. But a majority of us have been conditioned to default to the negative, right? It's easier to believe negative things. And I think that biologically probably originates with our
Survival.
survival instincts. Right,
Mhm.
right, right. I think it originates with that, but in our modern world, it translates otherwise. I also, let's see, how can I explain this? I also think that there might be have been some intention in conditioning the masses to default to the negative, to believe certain things, to believe that things have to be challenging and difficult. I mean, think about the expression. There's some expression, I don't know if I have the exact words, but if it isn't difficult, it isn't worth doing, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I don't know. And that's a terrible thing to have embedded into your belief system, I think. Why does something have to be difficult to be worthwhile? If it,
Yeah,
right, right?
I get what you're saying, and I think that honestly, what works for me about this quote, even taking into account, like, it's not, again, we've talked about actually radical responsibility recently. So I see it as, if you look at it from this frame of like, okay, oh, I'm just practicing negative emotions or whatever, or feelings I don't
Mm,
want to feel sometimes, but then I can also practice the other way. It
yes,
it makes it less daunting, and it brings the power back to your hands.
yes.
And it makes it feel like a much smaller, more contained, like manageable thing. And I do feel like that actually, that helps, I think sometimes getting
Yes,
stuck feeling like, oh my god, there are forces working against us, and there's all this set up against us, makes it feel too big.
right. But that's the key, though, is that you have to just start with yourself. It's
Hmm.
starting like from the inside out. And so I do also appreciate this quote. And I actually put a note next to it. Um, like hypnosis to make this practice a habit, because hypnosis can help you create new habits. Most people think of it as a way to lose habits, but it can help you create new habits. New First of all, the habit of participating in the meditation every day.
Hmm.
You can use hypnosis to get you to that point where you actually do it, you remember to do it, it becomes part of who you are. And you also can use hypnosis to create a habit of better thinking, of practicing, what does he say, joy, love, and altruistic states, right?
Hmm.
You can use hypnosis to make that your to reprogram that default
Hmm.
negativity. I really think that we actually have been programmed that way. I mean, I think it does in part relate to our survival instincts. Having said that, I think that because of the way society is set up, that we've also been that's also programmed into us, you know. I mean, many of us grow up thinking that you have to work hard to make a living, and
And it's hard to survive.
yeah, it's survival is not, yes, survival is a challenge. And if you don't work hard, then you don't you like you are somehow lacking in worthiness and that kind of stuff too.
Hmm.
Like, well, you're not a productive member of society, and what have you. Like, we've been programmed to limitation,
Right.
and limitation is negative. So it makes sense that we would be default to the negative so easily. So
Hmm.
I think that this is a great quote, but it really does take practice. It takes repetition, right?
Yeah, well, and that's why, again, like, I think it does, it makes it boils it down into a much more manageable task, instead of focusing on this
Yes.
powerlessness of, oh, this is, all these forces are working against me. It's like, this is what I can do. I can practice, I can work on it, and practice also implies you don't have to be good at it at
Yes.
first. It's something that you continually do and regularly focus on and regularly work on, and it can take time, and it can take, and you don't have to feel like you're always so successful at it.
Right, right. And I think many people do get discouraged if something doesn't work quickly for
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
been there, done that. So yeah, I understand it.
So yeah. So I appreciate that way of framing it. It takes some of the pressure off, and it makes it seem like a much more approachable
Hmm.
thing. Like, it's just, oh, just like an everyday practice, just like I practice, it can even become like a hygiene practice, like a practice, like brushing my teeth, centering my emotions.
Right, right. I mean, honestly, it would be wonderful. I mean, some people are raised this way, but um, probably the majority are not. But it would be wonderful for parents to actually raise their children right from the start okay, we're going to, meditate. A lot of meditations are actually self-hypnosis.
Mhm.
Um, so whatever you want to call it, we're going to meditate, we're going to do self-hypnosis and brush our teeth and get in our pajamas, like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Um, or, intentionally at bedtime reading stories like of a, with the intention of, you know, uh, inducing a hypnotic state and including positive messages for the child's self-esteem and all that kind of stuff. Like just making that kind of stuff part of the routine. I like that you said that about like it should be just a part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got various routines that I do, and like again, like also you talk about getting bored with like one thing. Sometimes maybe your routine is maybe you always have a routine where you focus on this kind of thing, but you change up how you do it. You change up what you do.
I do. I do. I mean, I do find that that works for me.
Mhm.
And we all try to fit ourselves into, sometimes we try to fit ourselves into one mold where, okay, this is the right way to meditate. This is the right way to do it. The right way to do it is the way that works for you.
Mhm. Yeah. Um and I'm trying to see if there's like another good quote that I wanted to bring up. Hmm. Oh, and when because he does explain, he talks more about fight or flight in this, because he talked about survival emotions previously, previous chapters. He talks about it more in this chapter as well, and we just talked about too, like being feeling like programmed to be more in survival mode, and there's a lot of messaging around survival and that being difficult.
I was actually
And
thinking that that might be a topic in and of itself that we could discuss. I don't know, maybe even right after this one we could.
talk more.
Right. I mean, unless
Yeah,
that
oh,
doesn't
we
resonate
can
with you.
we can discuss it. Because I feel like I don't know if we'll have a lot of different things to say about it after we discuss this chapter, but we can see.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a small focus in this chapter, but he brought it up again, which made me think this is really important.
Well, there's something that I liked him just re-describing sort of like what survival mode actually does and what it means for you. Uh, is this quote that says, "But if you are perpetually hooked into the fight or flight state, even if there is no cougar in the bushes, you will be less likely to want to close your eyes and go within because you have to keep your attention on the perceived threat outside of you. No new information can enter your nervous system that is not equal to or relevant to the emotions you are experiencing, so you can't program your body for a new destiny." Again, reiterating that when you're in that survival mode, the reason why you don't go within is because it's like he told an anecdote about there being a cougar in the bushes, and that activating his fight or fight, but that being an example of how it's supposed to be activated and
Yes.
used, and doing what you need to do to either get away or defend yourself. And he said, and then he followed up with, but imagine living that way, which a lot of people do all the time. That's constantly going to have you alert, thinking about focusing on things outside of you, trying to figure them out, control them, as opposed to going within and calming your system, working with your emotions, and allowing new ways of experiencing the world, seeing things, or even resolving conflict to come to you naturally and in a much more peaceful, maybe aligned way. Opening up your intuition essentially,
Mm-hmm.
because your intuition functions best in when you're in a relaxed state. You can hear it more readily.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. When I was regularly meditating way back when, um, before I even discovered and became certified in hypnosis, I found that my intuition was more available or at least I recognized it more. And I have to say that like many people, I found it difficult to trust it
Mm.
because when you're not accustomed to trusting your intuition, you know, again, we've all been trained to trust people in authority. Again, we had this conversation previously, but like your generation less than mine because I became more aware of it and didn't want you to blindly trust authority. Um, so I was trying to draw that fine line between, well, yes, respect people as people, but that just because someone's in a position of authority, you don't automatically trust them. But my generation, most of us were totally raised to defer to authority, not just respect it, but defer to authority. So to defer to someone else's
Mhm.
opinion about what we should do. So, what should I do about this? And
And that well, like what relates to what he was saying about survival mode turning your attention outside of yourself as
yes,
opposed to looking within.
yes,
That impulse to look for someone else's input to affirm what you need to do, to validate what you need to do, to tell you what is necessary, as opposed to having that inward source of information flowing towards you, which doesn't mean that someone else's words or actions might not trigger the intuition in you, or like show you something that you already know within.
right,
But it's like, yeah, it's that difference between being like, I need someone to tell me what to do, and I'm aligning with myself and I know what to do. I know
right,
within me already. Even if I don't logically know it, my brain doesn't know it. I know it's in there, and like I'm going to take the time to attune.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And the heart being the subject of this chapter is something that I definitely associate very much with intuition, and I think of the Queen of Cups in tarot whenever I think about the heart. To me she's all about the heart and like compassion. um and then there's also the aspect of emotional control. She has a lid on her emotions, right? There's usually you see her traditionally holding a cup with a lid on it. Um, but yeah, and spirituality and intuition go along with that. It's like you need your heart to be aligned and coherent and activated to fully bring in like clear messages and receive clear messages and be in touch with your intuition and your
Hmm.
subconscious. Yeah. And he does talk about the heart as a bridge from like the rest of your subconscious up to your conscious mind.
Yes,
Yeah. Um so yeah, I really like that. And I just feel like it helps continue to clarify the difference between survival mode and being in more elevated states, and why it is worthwhile to move out of survival mode in your
yes,
life.
yes, definitely. I have a quote here that reminded me of something. It's just a brief quote. A person needs to marry a clear intention, coherent brain, with an elevated emotion, coherent heart.
Mm.
And it reminded me of the self hypnosis that I created, where um, it's actually a brief self hypnosis where you actually bring the solar plexus, the heart, and the mind into
Mm.
coherence.
Interesting.
So it reminded me of that. And then I was thinking, and you can do this self hypnosis just for, 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take long. So I was thinking if anyone listening is interested and they want to contact us, I would just send you a copy of this. I have it written out for clients. But if anyone is interested, I would send them a copy. So if you want to go to sunflowerphilosophy.com, sometimes I really regret picking a really long name, but it's sunflowerphilosophy.com. If you go to our website, you can click on contact us. You,
The link will also be in the description too, so if you can visit the link through there.
okay,
And you can also email us directly at
right.
info@sunflowerphilosophy.com. It'll go to the same place.
It'll go to the same place. But
Yeah.
if you
So
just go to our
whatever's easier.
website and go to contact us, you can just
Mhm.
it'll go to us too. So
Yeah.
and just the um ask for the self hypnosis uh for I'll probably know what you're talking about, but the self hypnosis for uh the coherence
Mm.
the
Yeah.
heart and mind coherence, or solar plexus, heart, mind coherence, whatever. Just ask for that self hypnosis, and we'll send it to you. Anyway,
Mm.
that reminded me of that, and I was like, oh, you know what? For anyone who listens,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
yeah, I'll
That's a good
send
one.
that. Yeah.
Um, oh, and speaking of like the heart mind connection, there was another quote that I thought really helped put in perspective why sometimes like affirmations don't feel effective, right? Um, right, like off the bat, right? So it says, we also know that if they live in the feeling of fear or lack but try to think they're abundant, they can't produce a measurable effect because change can only happen when thoughts are in alignment with the emotional state of the body. They can think positively all they want, but without a corresponding feeling or emotion equal to that thought, the message cannot be felt or understood throughout the rest of the body. And so I think it's not that like affirmation in and of itself can't help you get to that place, but that's why it might feel like pointless to some people starting out just not feeling the affirmation in the body. People are like, well, I just feel I like it doesn't mean anything to me. And so it's like when you're speaking to, like, for example, in hypnosis, the reason that we add the hypnosis to it is because we're getting into the subconscious, not just speaking to the conscious mind.
And that
And that's the body,
is
connecting the body and the emotional state with the brain.
and that is why affirmations alone are not the most effective. I mean, if you repeat them often enough,
You might get to a place.
yes, repetition
And with the
gets
intention of bringing the emotion, like you don't have to be amazing at it off the bat. Like it could be a practice.
right.
But
Repetition does is how, part of the way that the subconscious
mhm,
is trained,
yeah.
right? You have it just how many thoughts have you repeated over the years to yourself, beliefs and stuff that now you think that's who you are or what have you,
Mhm.
and you don't even realize you're doing it. But that is the thing. Hypnosis can be a shortcut to retraining and reprogramming those limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
And affirmation, if it does work, does take longer,
Yeah.
but everyone is different. So
Well, yeah, and affirmation can be part of self-hypnosis as well. If you're repeating affirmations to yourself and also getting yourself into a
oh,
meditative trance
yes,
state.
yes,
And also if you are maybe if you're you start off repeating affirmations but you keep at it, eventually you might just naturally find yourself in there. But the intention and knowing how it works can help speed up the process.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I do find for myself that I wouldn't say the repetition of affirmations per se, but speaking positive words to myself in my mind when I catch myself in a less desirable state of mind,
Mhm.
I I can get myself out of, let's say, a funk by doing that. It is, however, temporary. It's not like I've reprogrammed my mind to now suddenly um, default to the positive because I spoke some words to myself. But
But in that moment you interrupted the
I
pattern.
interrupted the pattern. Exactly. That's
Mhm.
the way to put it. I interrupted the pattern and I started a new, more positive momentum of, thought and feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that helps anyone.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because that's also I mean, it's like not don't do affirmations.
Oh, no, no. Yeah.
And it's also good again, like you said, pattern interrupt when you catch yourself in a spiral,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Which I also do. Like there are times when if I know my body's feeling really tense, to bring myself out of my head, I will start to bring myself into my body, but I'll also if there's like a specific fear that's coming up for me, I'll like specifically be telling myself like you can do this, you're safe, whatever I need to hear in that moment, and it does help other than rather than continuing the spiral. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Um. So, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a bunch of things. We don't have to necessarily talk about all of them. Let's see.
I thought I have something.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, do you have something?
I do, but go ahead. You can go.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I did think it was really interesting the experience of the woman where he showed like the, I guess it was her heart rate monitor or something like the, and she was practicing the meditation, and then it shows like her heart go into coherence at certain points, and the difference in like what that looks like on a graph, but then also the experience that she had of like spontaneously having her heart go into coherence, where she was just overcome by this like sense of love, and then she just like had to lie down for like an hour and experience it, and like she just fell in love with life in that moment. I just thought that was really fun because he compared it to the opposite, which would be like a panic attack, which I would say I have more experience of. And it's like, what if instead of a panic attack, you could experience a spontaneous love attack, you know? And I again, that's another way of like simplifying something that can feel so complex and difficult to move past into a way where it's like, oh well, eh, actually, like if you can experience, the intensity of a panic attack, like you can experience just as much intensity in the opposite direction. It's like it helps sort of uh again, like reframe this idea of what's possible for you emotionally, and to think again of like, okay, if you're practicing fear and any other emotions that contribute to anxiety and can come out in a panic attack, then you can also practice the opposite, and it can come out in a much more enjoyable way. And so I thought that was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you keep that practice going, that becomes your new vibrational set point.
Hmm.
The energy that you are, emitting out into the universe.
But also experiencing like
Oh, yeah.
for yourself and
Right.
internally, like the internal experience is like the same idea, right? But it's the opposite experience, right? It's still like an overwhelming surge of emotion, but it's an overwhelming surge of enjoyable positive emotion as opposed to an overwhelming surge of like difficult negative emotion. Uh which is just, it's cool to think about because, especially if you're experienced with things like panic attacks, it might be inconceivable at first to imagine the opposite. But then I like how you can turn the intensity of that experience from fear to love,
Mm.
and say, "Hey, it's not just one way. It can be the opposite way." And look, you've gotten so good at practicing one way of experiencing that, you can get just as good at practicing the other way.
Yes, exactly.
It feels
Exactly.
empowering.
Yes, I agree with that.
So I just really like that.
Um, it's kind of related to that. One of the quotes that I underlined. I don't really have a lot to say about it other than I agree with it. When we embrace the feelings related to the heart, feelings that lead us to give, nurture, serve, care, help, forgive, love, trust, and so on, we can't help but feel filled up, whole, and complete. This is the part. I believe this to be our innate nature as human beings.
Mm,
I also believe that is our innate nature. I think we are trained out of it, not intentionally by let's say your parents and the people surrounding you. I think the system has been set up to train us otherwise. But like, your parents were part of the system too. They didn't know any better. I think that the way we are, many of us grow up, we're trained out of that. We're trained out of that. But I think innately that is our nature to feel that way,
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
to
I
be that way and feel that
and
way.
at the very least, taking that on as a belief, taking that on as something that is true for me and you, bolsters the feeling that this is something that is not only possible for us, but natural for us to do.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
I couldn't have said it better. Yep. The possibilities and how it's just
Yeah.
it's a natural state of being. So that having that belief can only help you
Mhm.
in your pursuit of becoming
Exactly. Yeah.
supernatural.
Yes.
Um yeah. Uh Here's something kind of interesting. It's an experience I had. So I was reading this part, this sentence, or I guess it's one sentence, yeah. I was reading this, and I'll read it and then I'll explain what I'm getting at. In a state of homeostasis, you can think of the body as a sophisticated, finely tuned machine. But when emotions such as resentment, anger, jealousy, impatience, and frustration persist, our internal equilibrium is thrown out of balance. When I read it with the word fear included in the list.
Hmm.
And somehow I caught that and I was like, wait, fear wasn't in it. But I read it with the word fear. And what did I say earlier? Just paying minimal attention and giving a minimal amount of my energy to current events
Hmm.
has had a significant effect on my own feeling
Mhm.
frequency, whatever you want to call it. I know those words don't necessarily work for you, but my own frequency.
No, yeah.
Um,
That works.
I I just read it with the word fear in there.
And I think it works especially with what everything that he's talking about, where he's literally talking about frequencies, and that is what that literally means. Your frequency
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
But like you're also like,
right. And yeah, and the stuff that's going on when it can creep in there and cause like fear. And I just thought it was interesting that I
Mhm.
read that. So I wrote this note down there, saying I actually read fear in this list because of current events. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So it was something that came up for you, like your subconscious supplied
Yes,
what was
exactly.
happening.
Yes, how
Yeah.
I was feeling at the time, or how, not, maybe not, I wasn't even necessarily feeling it in that moment, but I had been. And so we create our reality through our focus. And
Mhm.
so I had been in that state. And so it naturally had the word fear come up. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then I look back, I'm like, wait, fear was not in that list. And I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. That
Um,
definitely. And I don't know if I have anything else specific from this chapter. So, do you have any other
I,
quotes or things that you want to talk about?
um, let's see. I do, but I'm wondering if this would be a good topic on its own, because it probably could take up a lot of time. Um, One thing that I found very interesting, I don't know if anyone else will, but as someone who has been in my human design experiment now for um, more than 7 years, I guess you'd say I've begun my 8th year, and as a human design professional, it was very interesting to me that he said that the heart is an okay, it's an organ capable of influencing feelings and emotions. The heart is a sensory organ that guides our decision making ability as well as our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. And, according to my human design, my decision making authority is in my heart. My
Mm.
inner authority is the heart center.
Mhm.
So I just found that interesting that,
So this could be why this also really resonates with you more than
yes,
other, and why also the other one that the more visceral one that we were talking about that you don't like, but I do, where you're like bringing energy up from the lower centers, why
Mhm.
that resonates more with me because mine is more the lower.
Yes,
Yeah.
your human design chart is bottom heavy and mine is top heavy.
Mhm.
And yes, so yeah, that's actually why I have done heart breathing my all along, is because I know that that is
Mm.
the center of my inner authority. So I have done that to kind of like invigorate it, clear it,
Mhm.
bring it into alignment kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that is why. So I thought that was kind of interesting for me. I
That
don't
is
know. I
interesting.
don't know if that's interesting for anyone else. But when it said, decision making ability, I was like, oh, okay. That is where mine comes from, according to human design. Um, there was something else, but I just lost it. So, what about you?
No, that's like I said before, that I think that's all I really had to say about this chapter. There wasn't anything else that like majorly stood out to me that I wanted to talk about.
I have a few more things here. Let's see. Oh, I know in it might have been the last episode, but I had said that, oh, there was something about focusing on your future. But here on page 167, he does allude to feeling it as if it has already happened.
Mm.
So that's, yeah, feel gratitude that the event has already occurred.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that if you saw the previous episode, I don't know if it was the last one. Was it the last
I
one?
think it was the last one.
Where I said that there were some earlier words about, being like future focused and stuff that didn't necessarily resonate with me, but here he kind of like clarified about feeling gratitude that the
Yeah, and
event has already occurred.
I had thought he said something like that earlier. I don't know if maybe he did, but it wasn't in exactly the same way.
Right. We and
Um,
I might have missed it.
yeah, but that's what I was trying to also, I think, in that, like at that time, communicate. It was like, no, I think that's what he means. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I'm glad that I saw that too, and I liked that it was sort of explaining, like put it into uh words again there, so that it could, because I was like, oh yeah, that's what I meant, but I didn't know how to say it. And I was like, that's what I thought he meant, so I'm glad he clarified it. But yeah, like having gratitude to like not just that it will happen or is happening, but that it already happened.
Yes, and when you think of it that way, it's easier to bring up the emotions of gratitude,
Mhm.
which gratitude is an extremely high vibration, and I will tell you from my personal experience, it works and it makes a difference.
Mhm.
It's a longer story than just that, so I won't get into it. But yeah, using the emotion of gratitude makes a difference. Here's something else. At the bottom of page 168, the more you live addicted to the stress hormones in your
Mm.
normal
Oh,
life,
yes. I remember this.
the less likely you are to want to create, meditate, or open your heart and be vulnerable. So, the
Mhm.
more you live addicted to the stress hormones in your normal life, the less likely you are to want to create, meditate, or open your heart and be vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I wrote, true, too much focus on current events can do this to me. It makes me not feel like meditating.
Yes. I feel the same way whenever I'm like in that mode, and but also it feels it that makes it makes sense as to why sometimes it might feel like things get harder before they get easier, because when you're not as
Yes.
addicted to the stress hormones, they might feel more like misaligned.
Hmm.
Like you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling this, but I don't want to be feeling this." So there's like that resistance, and then there's more awareness. And you're maybe more like less used to it, you know? You're less used to it because you're not as perpetuating it as much, so then when it does come up, it's like more intense. At least that's, I feel like that speaks to some of my experience, where it's like, "Oh no, like I'm 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 not." And it's not like you enjoy it when you're more addicted to it, but I feel like as you're separating us, like it's like the withdrawal, but also like the, oh, this isn't pleasant, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I don't experience this as much, so I'm not used to it as much, so it feels more intense. But then,
It feels
yeah,
more difficult.
yeah,
Yeah, and when I am out of alignment or, in a bad mood or in a negative momentum of thought and feeling, I I don't feel like doing things such as meditation, self-hypnosis, or anything like that. It seems harder to do. It seems like, well, I'm less likely to quiet my mind anyway. I'm less
it
likely to
seems
get any
pointless.
benefit. Yes, it seems
Again, because
pointless.
the like hormones, the stress hormones are telling you, look out here, don't look in here. In here is
Yes,
that's not gonna help us. We have to be
yes,
out here ready. Yeah.
yes. So, yeah, so that struck me there. Like, I was like, yeah, I get that. I'm less likely to meditate or even be creative, open my heart and be vulnerable. Absolutely. You shut off, you start to think
And
negatively about being open even with other people. And yeah,
that's
and
why this awareness is really important because it's easier to catch it and see it for something again that's like you're less in and you're more like witnessing. And then
hmm
you can make different choices more easily,
yes,
even when it feels really hard to do. That consciousness is there.
I think, well, let's see, what is this? Let's see. When you are living by the heart, you naturally choose love and innately demonstrate it through compassion and care for the well-being of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
others, and planet Earth.
Mm.
I just I just underlined that and I just wrote especially important now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's why this is beneficial to do not just for yourself, but the whole world.
And another one, the repetition of this process is what it means to recondition your body, rewire your brain, and reconfigure your biology equal to your new state of being.
Mm.
And that's where I feel like for many of us, repetition is very important when it comes to any of these practices, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's uh, meditation or even hypnosis, which is why we teach self-hypnosis to our clients, why we send them home with recordings and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Repetition is really important to to reprogram the subconscious mind, because all of this that you're doing, even though we're focusing on the heart here, is reprogramming the subconscious.
Mm.
This is just another way of reprogramming the subconscious.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I thought it was a really good chapter. I have a lot more things, say underlined and stuff like that, but I really like the simple heart coherence meditation
Mm-hmm.
because I've already been basically doing exactly it. Like I said, the only thing I had difficulty was the elevated emotions. You also noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's because, as he was talking about, where you put your attention is where you put your energy. And with all the stuff that's going on, and it's kind of, you know, you want to be informed, but you don't want to wallow in it. You don't want to get lost in it, because you getting lost in it does not help anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You getting in alignment does.
Yeah.
So, um, I think that, this nice simple meditation here is something that
It's
anyone can give a try.
yeah.
Try it and not feel
Intimidated.
intimidated or like there's too much. It's too much.
I almost feel like it should be the first one that's introduced,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
But I
Maybe even the only
I
one. I don't know. We'll see
I
what.
understand because I feel like his thing is a lot about big, fast transformation.
Hmm.
That maybe the big, fast, sort of like life changing meditations come first because
Mm.
that might be more what brings people in. I want to change something specific in my life. I want to
And
do this, I
also
want to do that.
and also the practice that I didn't care for, moving the energy up, that also it might be like, okay, let's get people's energy unstuck.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true.
I also think there are many different ways that that can be accomplished too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only that way,
Yeah.
which is so even though that way wasn't for me, it's like we always say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Just because I didn't like that one practice doesn't mean that there isn't a ton of value in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
it's true.
so let's wrap it up here then.
Yeah.
One more thing. If you guys have any topics you would like us to discuss, let us know. You can let us know
Yes,
in the
please
comments.
do.
You can contact us through sunflowerphilosophy.com. However you'd like to contact us is fine, but I'd love to hear your input. Thank you for joining us.
Next episode, we will be covering Chapter 8, Mind Movies / Kaleidoscope, and I don't know if we'll do 1 or 2 chapters. I know we did 2 this week, but
Right.
And yes, any links to reach us, sunflowerphilosophy.com, and our email address, the tarot channel, if you want to check that out, all that will be below in the description. And if you want to subscribe, follow, rate our podcast, depending on where you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, please do. We would appreciate it. It would help a lot. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Bye for now.